Some people have complained that my live stream was a bit too long, and fair enough. Let's give you my second thoughts about the earnings. I'm going to grab my bag here and leave the NIO on its own for some time. And by the way, this is hands down one of the best bags that I've owned so far, this NIO Life bag that I got as a early owner of the ET7. So let's go, because this week will be quite packed with a couple of events here. So today I'm on a way to a ceremony for startups that we've been coaching for their business models, and later on we have ERA in Munich as well, and I might also be in Berlin for the IFA event. But now back to NIO earnings. I thought actually there are a couple of great takeaways. So one of the major takeaways from yesterday, which I actually messed up during the live call because I calculated it wrongly, and I apologize for that. And that was mainly due to the fact that I was sitting in the ET7 while we were driving to Munich, was that the average sales price of NIO cars went up again. So traditionally we've been, or historically we've been at around 55k on average sales price. And that was really depressed in Q1 at around, below 40k. And that's really, really low. And mostly due to the fact that I had to get rid of all of the inventory, mainly the old platform models. And this time I first calculated it wrongly and thought it is like similar to that, but the sales price has actually hopped over the 50,000 mark again. So it's not entirely back where it was, but this is a huge development already, and it's very positive and very healthy. And I think there's a tiny chance that we also see these average sales prices go even higher in Q3, based on the fact that also the ES8 is now being sold, and the EC7 maybe in larger volume and so on. So I'm not sure if it's going to counter the trend with the price reductions and more ES6 and ET5s being sold. But anyways, in general, those ASPs have gone back up, and that's really great. Actually also in terms of valuation, because of course the overall revenues are back up again per unit. And so if you put a multiple on that, that's important driver of the valuation. Second point, of course, is what I mentioned already yesterday, and possibly this was seen by investors given the intraday action of the big recovery in the stock during the day, was possibly about the margin recovery of the vehicle margin. And I said I was kind of betting on that to happen, and it did happen. And that was one of the most positive takeaways from that call. That's why investors have actually started to look out for Q3, because this will also be followed by a gross margin recovery. Then we had a rather positive but also conservative guidance, which they think they didn't overpromise, which was also a narrative of this earnings call, in contrast to some of the other ones. The previous ones are sometimes either too promising, or like the last one, actually given investors too much bad news in just one call. That wasn't the case yesterday, and that's, I think, is also what could possibly turn into a more positive sentiment for the stock. But then of course the big Achilles heel of NIO here is the losses which they're making and the cash burn. And here we got the guidance by the CFO that they are looking to narrowing this in the coming quarters. Although I criticized them for not being very explicit on how that actually is going to happen. So this is the big risk here for NIO, and this is also my point of view why the shorts haven't left the stock yet. So they will continue to bet that NIO will possibly see lower than expected sales, and in that case NIO will have difficulties in closing those net losses. However, for now I think the trajectory is towards a smaller net loss, and for each consecutive week, month and quarter that we see that happening, it should actually be a catalyst for the stock going forward. There have been two gold nuggets by Li Bin though in the earnings. One was about the metrics of battery swapping, where he explicitly said that battery swap stations are on its way to become a self-sustainable business unit, and become financially also a profit center. Not too much details on the exact metrics there. However, it was good to hearing that. And the second one was about the fact that they said that NIO has in comparison fewer people in the sales team, and that they are about to ramp this one up. While I was wondering about the efficiency of sales, that still remains to be seen. However, we can expect that with a growing number of sales personnel and so on, that will of course also imply some cost, however should also result in more sales, and that's something which should kick in around October, they mentioned. So all in all, I thought this was a much better earnings call than we initially thought it would be, mainly not because of the bottom line and the top line was beating expectations. No, it was in fact not. However, we didn't get the negative weaker margins headlines, and we didn't get lots of the other negativity that we were anticipating. And in fact, it could be that this was the worst quarter ever for NIO, and from here it could just be up, up, up. However, there's substantial risk towards that, so manage your trading position accordingly, or your long position. I hope you enjoyed this little summary here, and now I have to hop into this conference. See you later.